So more people on Twitter are being very stupid about comic books. Surprise, surprise. This time what's been going on is people will like post a picture of Falcon as Captain America and be like, he's Captain America. Get over it. Or something really dumb like that. And there's a lot of that going on. And on the flip side, you have the culture warriors, which is like the most pathetic thing to be, going around being like, that's not Captain America, it's Falcon. And it's just these two brain dead sides going at it, just being like, I'm so angry about this thing. And the funniest thing is, like 99% of the people arguing about this don't care. Like on the people that are like Falcon is Captain America side, they watch the MCU and they'll occasionally pirate a comic. That's about it. On the other side, you have people that the culture warrior side, you have people that maybe read comics growing up, probably watched the cartoons, and are now just being told to be upset about this, so they're upset about this. This is one of their culture warrior things. And so it's hilarious to see these two go back and forth. And I just wanted to talk about it because it seems every time I open Twitter, I get that. And that's just all I see. It's just constantly. It's not just Falcon. It's just I want to talk about mantles in general because it's something that constantly comes up in comics. This isn't anything new, but it's just big right now because of Falcon taking over Captain America. You have Miles Morales, Spider-Man, which Miles Morales took over Spider-Man a long time ago, but because he wasn't in any movies till now, these people didn't know he existed. So now they know he exists, and he's like, Miles is Spider-Man. So yeah. The first thing is all these people constantly proclaiming that these new characters are these heroes is hilarious because generally when something's a universal truth, you don't have to constantly say it and reaffirm it. It's like when it comes to the globe versus flat debate, you'll hear a lot more people being like, the earth is flat. It's not a globe. It's not round. You'll hear a lot more of that because that's not true. The people know it's round. So people know it's round don't have to go around constantly proclaiming it's round. So when something's not necessarily a universal truth, you kind of tend to shout it into the ether a lot more, and that's kind of what's going on. So the two main ones that I've been seeing, like I said, are Spider-Man is Miles Morales and Falcon is Captain America. So what do I think about this? Spider-Man, the Spider-Man one's kind of funny because no one cared about him till Spider-Verse. Like he got like his first reveal, people cared about Miles. They're like, oh man, we got a black / Hispanic Spider-Man. This is interesting. And then you read it and you're like, oh god, this is just a really boring Peter Parker. Oh, Bendis wrote it. Checks out. And then he went around, had a few good comics here and there, but for the most part was just a really more boring version of Peter Parker, like wasn't really his own character. And then Spider-Verse came out, they actually made him a unique character, they actually made him a likable character, and people are like, Miles is cool, and now the comics are like trying to capture that, but failing a lot. So yeah, you're never going to get Miles to be Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is the most popular character there is. Spider-Man like sells more overall of like just everything than any other comic book superhero in the modern day. And it's because he's Spider-Man. He's Peter Parker. You're never going to... Miles Morales will always be Miles Morales Spider-Man. You will never get someone to say, oh, that's Spider-Man, and then they'll be like, they'll think in their head Miles Morales. You might have someone clarify, but Peter Parker is ingrained as Spider... That's just how it is. He's been around for a long time. He's the most popular superhero there is. It's just, it's not going to happen. He'll always be Miles Morales Spider-Man. Now, as far as Falcon as Captain America, in the MCU, I think it's kind of dumb because you have this opportunity to have Bucky be Captain America, which he needs that mantle, because it's really weird because Falcon has been built up as his own hero in the MCU. Like, he is his own hero, and he's a formidable hero. He's up there with Cap. Like, he is, on that level. And then you just be like, oh, the mantle of Falcon means absolutely nothing. Throw that in the trash, become Captain America. Like, no one is next in line to become the next Falcon, because it turns out being Falcon means nothing. That's what the MCU is saying. And the reason Bucky needs it is because who he is the Winter Soldier, which is a very bad guy that is known for killing people. Specifically Iron Man's parents. So he needs a new image. Him being Captain America would work better. That's not like the Spider-Man thing's whatever. I'm fine with Miles Morales being Spider-Man. It's just it's another thing where it's like it's just you're never gonna get the general public to see him as that because Peter Parker is Spider-Man because he's so popular. So good luck fighting that battle. But as far as Captain America, Falcon being Captain America, it's just kind of like it was just unneeded. Like it's like why. You don't need that. I thought that was like I think that one's kind of stupid. Like Miles being Spider-Man, cool, fine. It's just as far as being the Spider-Man, that's never gonna happen. Sorry, it's an impossible battle. But Falcon being Cap, it's like he is his own hero, and you just throw that away, and like it's kind of weird. That's my thoughts on the main two. The dumbest one that they ever did, that Marvel did, was trying to get people to recognize Laura / X-23 as Wolverine. That is so monumentally stupid. For a little bit there in the comics, that Laura was fighting to become her own person. She was trying to be like, hey, even though I'm partially a clone of even though I'm a clone of Wolverine, I'm not like that's not who I am. I'm not just Wolverine. I'm my own person. And then Marvel threw that all in the trash with all new, all different Wolverine. It's like she is Wolverine. It's like, well, you had this thing called character development going on. You just got rid of it. And it's like, what? But that's Marvel. And then they even did the whole basically fanfic thing where you have the OG character tell your new creation that you're the one, you're it. They had Wolverine be like, yeah, you tell him, kiddo, when she says she is Wolverine. Also, it's funny that she's correcting people that she's Wolverine, not other people. That's always good. But that was the dumbest one. One of the current ones for DC that's really dumb is trying to make John Superman. Because in time, no one would have a problem with Superman's son, John, becoming Superman. It makes sense. But considering he went from 11 to 17 in a span of a couple issues and is right now a horrible Superman, it's really, yeah, it's bad. Because they're trying to, like, Tom Taylor's desperately trying to get people to recognize John as Superman. Everyone's like, hey, it's John. It's like, no, that's Superman. No, that's John. That's not Superman. The best you'll get is gay Superman. That's the best you'll get for people recognizing him as Superman. No one will ever actually recognize him as Superman. But, like, because it wasn't earned. Like, I would have loved to seen John slowly grow up through the comics and, like, get there and learn more lessons and everything. Instead, he went from he was, in Bendis' version, at 11, he knows everything and can do whatever and, like, doesn't need to listen to his parents anymore, and then becomes 17, suddenly he's the best ever and he understands everything. But in Tom Taylor's run, you can clearly see that he's horrible at it, and it's really weird. Like, and also, back to the Wolverine thing, something I forgot to mention is Wolverine's not a mantle. That is not a mantle to be handed around. Like, Captain America is a mantle that can be handed around. Wolverine's not. Wolverine is not. Logan is Wolverine. There is no, like, that's not a mantle that, like, oh, you bestow it upon this like, that's not, it doesn't work like that. Now, something I think is kind of similar to Miles Morales being Spider-Man is kind of Dick Grayson being Batman, except DC never really tried to be like, he is the Batman and this is how he's going to be from now on. But I love Dick Grayson as Batman, but I always referred to him as Dick Grayson Batman. Like, for me, he was never Batman. That's something that people have been trying to, surprise, bring into it, is it's a race problem. No one had a problem when Hal Jordan became Green Lantern, even though we had a Green Lantern, Alan Scott, prior. It's like, well, those are completely different because one's a magical dude and one's part of a Space Ranger Corps. And the reason everyone's fine with new Green Lanterns, even though I hate that they keep making new human Green Lanterns, but the reason people are fine with new Green Lanterns is because it's a job. It's not a mantle. You're not the Green Lantern. It's your Green Lantern of sector blah 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 point blah blah blah. Like, that's what you are. It's a job. You're a space cop. That's why no one cares. It's not because of race. No one was mad about. When I say no one, I mean generally no one. Of course, someone will be like, well, what about this one person that was pissed off about Jon Stewart? Well, yeah, there were people that were pissed off about Guy Gardner and Kyle Rayner as well. It's not a race thing. People, whenever you introduce a new character with the same mantle or name or whatever as another one, people are going to get upset. There will always be those people. But, like I was saying with Wolverine, that's not a mantle. And then with Dick Grayson Batman, if you've been around with the channel for a while, if you've been in any of the streams, you know anytime anyone asks me what my favorite Batman book, I always clarify because I'm like, well, my favorite Batman book is different from my favorite Batman book because my favorite Batman book is a Dick Grayson Batman book. It's Black Mirror. So I always have to clarify that. Like, every time I'm like, my favorite Batman book isn't really a Batman book because it's Dick Grayson as Batman. Because even though he's a white man, I still didn't see him as Batman. Sorry. I love Dick Grayson as Batman. I thought he was a better Batman than Bruce, but he would never ever to me be the Batman. That's always Bruce. even though Bruce was kind of dead at the time, but sent to the past and then came back. He just wasn't. He wasn't Batman. That's the same hurdle that Miles will never be able to overcome with Spider-Man, because Batman and Spider-Man are such just icons. It's never gonna happen. You can't do it. You can do it with lesser heroes, but it's hard. Yeah. And then, like, as far as people like, oh, why are people fine with it with Flash? Well, with Flash, I never hear anyone ever actually refer to them as Flash. Anytime someone talks about it, it's be like Barry, Wally. Like, everyone always refers to them as their names, which is potentially, I guess, where you could get with, like, maybe Spider-Man or Cap. But yeah. Also, like, with Captain America, it's Steve Rogers is so different from Everett because he's a man out of time, to where Falcon's not. Like, that's a big part of Captain America, and that's another thing with Bucky, where he's also a man out of time. So, like, if you want to talk about core aspects of the character. But yeah, I wanted to talk about this because it is really annoying seeing all the people that clearly just watch the MCU, don't care about this, and be like, he's Captain America. I'm doing this to try to piss off all the people that like this character. And then, again, the culture warriors are also hilarious because they haven't read a comic book in 25 years, and they'll, like, quote retweet and be like, no, he's not. It's Steve Rogers. And then just get very upset. And then it's just these two calling each other dumbasses back and forth. It is entertaining. But yeah, it's just funny seeing the culture warriors versus the, like, MCU fans just go back and forth. Blue Beetle is a character that for some reason is never brought up in these Mantle discussions. Maybe it's because he ruins the whole racism narrative, because you had a white man, Ted Kord, as Blue Beetle for decades, and then he gets killed, and Jaime Reyes comes in and is almost immediately accepted by the fans and very quickly becomes the Blue Beetle, and more people know him as Blue Beetle and then call Ted Kord Ted Kord. Like, that's just the facts of it. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier, which is you can do it with lesser-known characters like Blue Beetle, but you can't do it with Spider-Man or Batman. Miles Morales will always be Miles Morales Spider-Man. That's just how it is. To where with Blue Beetle, while Blue Beetle is a great character, while Ted Kord is a very fun character, he's not very popular, so it was pretty easy for Jaime to come in and just become the Blue Beetle. Also because you had Jeff Johns helping him at the start as well, so it's nice to have, good talent behind it, unlike some of these other characters like Miles having Bendis. So, that definitely helps. Because I generally think if it's a popular character, it's going to be hard to get them, over. Because, like, Flash is probably the best example of it actually working. But again, with Flash, I hardly ever hear people say Flash unless they're referring to the title of the book. As far as Flash goes, like, whenever I hear, like, anyone discuss it, myself included, it's always Wally, Barry, like that. It's never actually, like, saying The Flash and then being like, because no one knows who you're talking about because there are so many iconics, There's so many iconic Flashes. So, yeah. But also writing is a huge part of it. A lot of these characters, when they came in, like when Miles was introduced, it was Bendis just being horrible. And when Laura, they tried to get her to take over Wolverine, which was really stupid no matter what, but you didn't really have the greatest writing talent. I think you had Tom Taylor. I think it was Tom Taylor who was doing that, which is horrible. Yeah. And then, yeah, you don't have a lot of great writers starting this stuff out. If you want it to stick, you need to have, like, put the writing talent on it, and also do it for, like, story purposes at work, and not just like, well, we want to change things and get a bit of an uproar. But yeah, that's it. Please let me know in the comments below. What do you think about all this? How Mantles work? Are you a fan of just a new character taking over? They are automatically that character, or do you think that's a bit harder, a bit more of a hurdle to overcome? Anyways, I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.
Hey, skinny boy, saucy boy, I be running to the bank. Yeah, I hit the gas in the whip full tank. Riding past the ocean while I'm listening to Frank.